101. A fee simple absolute estate would best be defined as a, an estate based on a condition subsequent b, an estate without encumbrances which can be easily transferred, c, the highest interest a person can have in real property, d, an estate which is less than freehold. Correct answer is C. A fee simple absolute estate is the highest interest one can own in land. It is not based on a condition or event which subsequently happens, nor is it a less than freehold estate. Because it is of indefinite duration, it is a freehold estate. 102. Of the following, which best defines a fee simple estate? A title in the owner without limitations, b, an estate for years, c, a life estate, d, the most interest that one can hold in land. Correct answer is D. The A answer is eliminated because all property is going to have some limitations. For example, the police powers of zoning and building codes may limit title to property, whereas the fee simple estate is the most interest that one can hold in property. 103. An estate is granted to A for the life of X. A dies while X is still living. The estate A ceases to exist, B reverts to the original grantor, C vests in X for his life, D vests in the heirs or devisees of A. Correct answer is D. As long as X, the designated person, lives, the life estate belongs to A, the life tenant, or the heirs of A. 104. Tyson owns a store building which he leased to Crown for 7 years. Crown's estate in the store building is a personal property, b, estate for years, c, a chattel real, d, all of the above. Correct answer is D. An estate for years must be for a designated period as given in the question. This is personal property because it is temporary. It is also known as a chattel real, and is a less than freehold estate. 105. An instrument which usually transfers possession of real property, but does not transfer ownership is a mortgage, b, a sublease, c, a security agreement, d, an easement. Correct answer is B. A sublease transfers possession of property from the lessor to the lessee. A mortgage and a security agreement are used in borrowing money, and an easement gives the right to use someone else's property. With an easement, that right to use is usually not an exclusive right to use nor a right to possess. 106. Tori wants to sell her home, but learns that her home has an asbestos problem inside a walled area of her home. How should it best be treated? A. Proper ventilation of the building, B. Removal of chipping paint, C. Installing new distribution boxes, D. She should do nothing. Correct answer is D. If the asbestos is in an inaccessible and protected area, it should not be disturbed. 107. The commission to be paid in a written listing agreement is the A. Amount of money over the net listing amount, B. Customary rate in the area, C. Rate set by law, D. Percentage of the sales price is negotiated and agreed, or a flat fee. Correct answer is D. The broker's fee is indicated in the listing or other agreement with the principal and is always negotiable, and it could be a flat fee. 108. What is the name of the type of law requiring that government zoning boards make their meetings open to general public? A. Sunshine law, B. Public meeting law, C. Moratorium law, D. Meeting disclosure. Correct answer is A. A sunshine law, which is also known as an open meeting law, requires that government zoning boards make their meetings open to general public. A moratorium is a delay or temporary stoppage of property development within a community. 109. The movement of water through soil that could cause contamination to a property is called a leakage. B. Groundwater. C. Septic. D. Percolation. Correct answer is D. Percolation is the movement of water through soil. The movement of water may bring contaminants with it. A septic system is an absorption pit or trench and serves as a property's sewage discharge system. Groundwater is water that comes from underground and can be obtained with a well. 110. Paula enters into a contract for the purchase of Jordan's home. Paula applies for a mortgage. The contract requires her to get a document from her mortgage lender stating that the lender will be loaning her the necessary funds. What is that document called? A. An assurance. B. A promissory note. C. A commitment. D. A letter of approval. Correct answer is C. A commitment is a document from a mortgage lender stating that the lender will be loaning the borrower the necessary funds. The promissory note contains the borrower's promise to repay the debt and the manner and frequency of payment, e.g., monthly via check. The note also contains the principal balance owed and the interest rate. A letter of approval may refer to a pre-approval letter issued by the lender, show potential sellers that the borrower may be approved for a loan for a particular amount. $111. Rifaldi purchases a home. After owning it for exactly 1 year, he sells it after losing his job, since he cannot afford the mortgage payments. What will any profit be classified as? A. Long-term capital gains. B. Short-term capital gains. C. Ordinary income. D. Income gains. Correct answer is B. Capital gains are the profits on a capital investment, such as real estate. Short-term capital gains are profits on assets that are owned for 12 months or less. Long-term capital gains are profits on assets that are owned for more than 12 months. Profit on long-term capital gains is subject to a reduced tax rate and is not taxed as ordinary gross income, but profit on short-term capital gains is taxed as ordinary gross income. $112. Robert lives in a leased apartment. During the winter months, his landlord refuses to provide heat. Robert is frustrated because he is bound by the lease and cannot move. What principle can Robert rely upon to terminate the lease? A. Eviction. B. Constructive eviction. C. Actual eviction. D. Abandonment. Correct answer is B. A constructive eviction occurs when a tenant is not provided with quiet enjoyment. If the tenant did not create the issue, the tenant can vacate the premises and no longer be required to pay rent pursuant to the lease. Eviction is the legal proceeding used by a landlord to remove a tenant and the tenant's personal property, usually for non-payment of rent. An actual eviction is a prohibited self-help measure outside of the court system, when the landlord removes the tenant. Abandonment occurs when a tenant abandons the leased premises and the landlord re-enters and repossesses the premises, though the landlord does not need to accept the return. 113. A statutory non-employee is also called a common law employee, b. a general employee, c. trade employee, d. an independent contractor. Correct answer is D. A non-statutory employee is also called an independent contractor. A statutory or common law employee is a regular employee. 114. A broker could be entitled to a commission if a sale does not close if the issue was caused by the A. title company, B. buyer, C. bank, D. seller. Correct answer is D. A commission is usually considered earned when a broker brings a ready, willing, and able buyer to the seller, or the seller should accept an offer from the buyer. While a typical California commission agreement requires a commission to be paid if the broker brings a buyer who is ready, willing and able to purchase the property consistent with the listing agreement's terms, in practice, the broker's commission is typically paid when escrow closes. 115. A typical California commission agreement requires a commission to be paid if the broker brings a buyer who is A. vicarious, B. pre-approved for financing, C. ready, willing and able, D. accredited. Correct answer is C. A typical commission agreement requires a commission to be paid if the broker brings a buyer who is ready, willing and able to purchase the property consistent with the listing agreement's terms. Civic commission could be due regardless of any other factors, such as if the seller rejects the offer. However, in practice, the broker's commission is typically paid when escrow closes. 116. Jeter is looking to sell his mansion. His real estate agent considers properties similar to Jeter's in order to figure out the listing price. The act of looking at the number similar available properties comparable in price to Jeter's mansion is the A. market position, B. appraisal, C. estimation valuation, D. market conditional evaluation. Position is the term describing the act of looking at the number similar available properties comparable in price in order to compute an appropriate listing price. The market position can be used as one of the factors used in reaching an appraisal. An appraisal is an objective estimate of the value of a property on a certain date based upon factual information. Market conditions are external economic factors, such as the health of the economy, supply and demand numbers and seasonal factors, e.g., a home with a pool may be valued higher in the summer. (117) An organization that includes several people jointly participating in an investment into real estate is a limited liability operation, B. syndicate, C. mob group, D. S. corporation. Correct answer is B. An organization that includes several people jointly participating in an investment into real estate is a syndicate. An S corporation is a special type of closely held corporation that is taxed like a partnership. (118) If a sales agent becomes an employee of a broker, what must the broker do? A. Terminate the agent, B. Pay the broker a base salary of minimum wage, C. Pay taxes on behalf of the agent, D. Cancel any commissions owed. Correct answer is C. If a sales agent becomes an employee of a broker, the broker must pay federal and state taxes on behalf of the agent, since the agent is no longer an independent contractor. 119. Harry and Sally have been married for 45 years and purchased their home for $50,000 30 years ago and used it as their primary residence. It is now worth $700,000. They decide to move to a state with a warmer climate and the house is listed with a sales agent, who closes the sale of the home. Harry and Sally ask the agent if they will be required to pay taxes on all of their profit. Will there be a taxable event upon the sale? A. No. Real estate used as a principal residence is generally tax-exempt. B. Yes. They will be required to pay tax on the $650,000 profit. C. No. They do not meet the minimum threshold to trigger taxes owed. D. Yes. They will be required to pay taxes on $150,000 of the profit. Correct answer is D. They owe long-term capital gains taxes on $150,000 of the profit. The remaining $500,000 in profit is subject to an IRS exclusion that allows single persons to exclude up to $250,000 in capital gains profit, and married couples to exclude up to $500,000 in capital gains. Real estate used as a principal residence is not generally tax-exempt. To qualify for the tax exclusion, the sellers must have owned and lived in the home for at least 2 of the 5 years prior to the sale. $120. Gwen is an unlicensed assistant. Natalie, a commercial broker, pays Gwen a fee for referring commercial tenants for properties listed by Natalie. Is the arrangement permitted in California? A. No. An unlicensed assistant cannot communicate price and terms with potential clients in California. B. Yes, as long as the unlicensed assistant does not schedule appointments. C. Yes. An unlicensed assistant can earn a referral fee in California. D. Yes. Gwen can also answer pricing questions. Is also allowed to earn an unlicensed finder fee for locating prospective clients for referral to a broker. An unlicensed assistant is not permitted to communicate price and terms with potential clients. They are permitted to schedule appointments, write and place advertisements, and type sales contracts and comparative market analyses (CMAs), as long as the broker reviews them. 121. A home furnishing is an example of A. real property, B. riparian, C. chattel, D. fixture. Correct answer is C. Chattel is personal property. A riparian owner is someone who owns land next to water. The owner could have riparian water rights for water bordering the property. A fixture is personal property that is attached to land or improvements to land that become part of the property. 122. A legal document that pledges a piece of a specific property as collateral pursuant to a loan agreement is called a collateral agreement, B. mortgage, C. lien, D. installment contract. Correct answer is B. A legal document that pledges a piece of specific property as collateral pursuant to a loan agreement is a mortgage. A mortgage is a type of lien filed against a building or other property improvement. An installment contract is the payment of a loan over a specified period of time, like the loan note taken out on property. 123. A loan that is a lien against real property is A. note, B. mortgage, C. mortgager, D. mortgagee. Correct answer is B. The mortgage is the document representing the loan, which forms a lien against the property. The promissory note contains the borrower's promise to repay the debt and the manner and frequency of payment, e.g., monthly via check. The note also contains the principal balance owed and the interest rate. The borrower, who consents to the mortgage lien, is the mortgager, while the lender obtaining the mortgage lien is the mortgagee. (124) A long-term rental agreement for undeveloped land is called A. An option to buy, B. A ground lease, C. A proprietary, D. Fee simple leasehold. Correct answer is B. A ground lease is long-term rental agreement for undeveloped land. Ground leases are typically for a very long term. The ground lease permits the lessee to build upon the land and own the improvements, but the property owner retains ownership of the land. A proprietary lease is a cooperative corporation's lease with the cooperative shareholders. Fee simple is outright ownership of land, while a leasehold is leased land. An option to buy is a provision in a contract permitting the option holder to purchase a property pursuant to the terms outlined in the contract. 125. The improper mixing of a broker's personal and business funds is called A. Earnest money mixing, B. commingling, C. associated funding, D. escrowing. Correct answer is B. Commingling is the improper mixing of a broker's personal and business funds. It is not permitted. An earnest money deposit is the deposit that accompanies the buyer's offer to purchase and is part of the contract. An escrow account contains money held for another party. Earnest money deposits are usually held in an escrow account.